Hello traders, this is the first recap video for the weekend update, the bigger picture one. I'm starting it with the comparison of DAX index daily on the left and the DAX futures daily on the right. Now here on the left side we can see that I have made fib retrace from the March low up to the previous Friday high, which was a not potential but now OPEX swing high, because this move here is in my opinion good enough to be called a swing. We got a pullback down to the daily 50 was tagged on futures but not on index, and in my opinion, and the speculation from last week that this here from Friday, that Thursday low and standing here closing on Thursday above daily 200 and now on Friday right on daily 200 can indicate a potential stopping of this pullback. Now we didn't have any kind of trending down movements here. Selling were pretty much controlled, and on this side now when we observe this push higher, which is slightly different than on index has this a very visible higher low, while here on futures also higher low but not that high like this. You can observe that this here part can be divided into two sections. First section is this one, then after a gap up and filling that gap, this section will be the second section. Now DAX did had a lot of backing and filling, a lot of pullbacks, not like the rally on the US markets. And if we would observe now these two parts, so for example, this first part, when you make a fib on this first part, futures made exactly to the halfback pullback of this first part. While of this second part, if you make a fib on this second part, then you would observe 61.8 if you retrace here, below which we only got a tail down to daily 50. Therefore, for the next week, we should consider in the bigger picture this market as a stronger one if it can hold above daily 50. So this here, which was test of a daily 50, that is this week absolute low, and also on Thursday RTH low. So obviously we are going to have RTH weekly RTH high and low on our zones charts marked. And if we would go higher on a weekly chart, then we can also observe how this week was inside week, while on the monthly chart, which is not over, this month for DAX so far is an inside month. Now if we would observe and compare DAX with the US markets, then you can make a conclusion that DAX is weaker than those all of those US markets. S&P made new all-time high on Friday, then Nasdaq also new all-time high on Friday and is a leading market due to the rotation coming back to the IE names and generally in tech. This is Dow Jones with still in the consolidation and below all-time high, similar to DAX, but less movement is required here on Dow to get to the all-time high, and this would be Russell, which is similar to Dow. Is consolidating, but it is consolidating around the all-time high, and this from Tuesday would be all-time high on Russell. So DAX weaker of these other US markets. Let's move to weekly, and this is what I was talking about. This is this week, as we can see here, inside week. Now we did had a similar situation on the daily chart, expansion followed by contraction, then again expansion, and the same thing could be when we observe weekly candles. Now obviously expansion can be to the upside over the previous week high or to the downside below the previous week low and below March double top. That would be like references on the weekly chart, while on a daily chart for the buy side, important in my opinion to hold above daily 50. Similar thing like on a daily chart, strong US markets. Now this is a second week above the previous all-time high on the S&P, same on Nasdaq. This is Dow Jones, and you see what the weekly high was, spike above the previous week high, while this is Russell, also week completely above the previous all-time high. And the thing that you can see now across all social media would be people showing you S&P or SPY monthly charts. Month is not over yet, but this would be the only potential resistance that you can find on S&P, or in this case on SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P. Very similar situation is on Nasdaq as well. They're almost touching that potential resistance only. Now the next week is going to be absolutely packed with the data and the earnings report. Let's go back on DAX. Let's go blank just to observe this once again. Daily 50 could be observed as a bull bear line in the bigger picture. Nothing much on Monday, and then on Tuesday we got the Bank of Japan day, which doesn't really have much of an impact on DAX. Then Airbus is having earnings report, one of the top 10 DAX components. On Wednesday, another top 10 component, Deutsche Bank earnings report, German preliminary CPI during the day, but the most important parts are coming much later in the DAX after hours. FOMC day, no rate change expected. Is it going to be a catalyst or not? Personally, I doubt that, only if there is either a rate change all of a sudden, which is a very low odds to happen, or that Fed chair says something about forward guidance. Because after all of that, after the FOMC, there's going to be, after the close, earnings report of 4 out of the 7 of Magnificent 7 companies. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Google all reporting in the same time on Wednesday, which is just means that all of that together with the FOMC could have significant impact to Thursday. And on Thursday we do have another batch of data, German preliminary GDP, Bank of England day, which is again nothing much for DAX. Then ECB day, which on its own, especially with no rate exchange expected, likely isn't going to move the market. And again, right between the rate decision and the ECB press conference, there is US advanced GDP and the core PCI price index, which was until now and probably will stay like that, under quotes, Fed's favorite indication of inflation. And then after all of that, Apple earnings report. So this week, 5 out of the 7 Magnificent 7 components, 4 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. All of that should influence price action on Thursday and for the US markets on Friday, because remember, Friday is the Labor Day, May the 1st, non-working day for the EU markets. And once again, if you are eager to trade on Friday, I wouldn't really trade CFDs on DAX from brokers. They are going to make some quotes under quote, which are going to be just following US markets. So if you do want to trade Friday, May the 1st, I certainly ain't gonna trade that day. Trade US markets. European traders have very small amounts of public holidays and non-working days, and there's going to be nothing between May the 1st and Christmas. So I do suggest taking a long weekend this time. So that would be it for this video on DAX. We are observing previous week high, previous week low, and daily 50 as bull bear line. While on the US markets, we do observe, can they hold above the previous all-time high? Is it going to be a continuation or not? And I think two companies that should be watched due to their pure vicinity to the all-time highs would be Amazon and Nvidia, which is going to report much later. So that's it for this first video, and in the second one I'm going to cover recap for Friday and review of this week.